My name is Pramod Jain. Today I am going to discuss about a microcontroller and embedded C programming. So generally in this subject, so it's deals with a microprocessor, a microcontroller. Mainly deals with the microcontrollers. So what are the microcontrollers? So what is the use of these microcontrollers? Nowadays, each and every electronic components made up of it has a chip called as microcontroller. Generally, it is used to control main things. So how our brain controls the entire function within the body. So same way the microcontroller works. So before this microcontroller, so what is the difference between the microprocessor and the microcontroller? So when we need to use a microprocessor and when we need to use the microcontroller, this is a very important aspect. So if you consider microprocessor, so microprocessor is like just like a computer. So it processes most of the data. So whereas if you consider the microcontroller, so it is mainly used whenever dedicated task has to be performed. So, for example, if you take a ATM machine, so it has vast application throughout our day-to-day life. So if you take a ATM, if you take a washing machine, so everywhere we have a microcontroller. So it is a dedicated embedded chip which is embedded within the particular products, and it performs a certain task. So with respect to ATM, whenever we go to ATM, so we insert the card and we so we want to withdraw or we want to deposit money. So there exactly the microcontroller use comes into picture, where it allows the user to enter his credential with respect to the credit card, and it accepts the data, and then it checks whatever the information provided by the user is correct or not. If there is any problems, it give indication to the user that he has been entered the wrong details. So same way with respect to you take many applications, not only with respect to the ATM, so also with respect to washing machine. So if you consider the washing machine, so many programs have been with respect to the knob what we are using with the washing machine. So it has a microcontroller, specific microcontroller, higher end microcontroller. So there the microcontroller schedules these tasks based on the user requirements. So generally what we'll do, so we'll put a clothes for the washing, so where so many programs have been arranged with respect to the knob. So each program is certain instruction that will be called whenever we are using that particular program. Okay. So these programs will be called with respect to the memory, and the particular program will be executed and the task will be completed. So whenever during this process, if we want to stop for a particular moment of time, so for certain thing has to be added into the washing machine. So there what we will do, so we'll press button to stop, and then so what happens during whenever we are stopping this washing machine, so it stops temporarily, and meanwhile until we close after putting the extra clothes after, then we'll start. So till that it will be keep on waiting. So once we start again, it will call the main program, so for the particular program to execute. So that is how the microcontroller comes into picture. Everywhere you take any way, so even with respect to the camera, even in AC, so everywhere we have a microcontroller. So generally nowadays the microcontrollers are used for home automation purpose, and entire throughout the IoT, so everywhere it is based on the microcontroller. So as the main difference between the microcontroller and the processor, so where the microcontroller we will tell entire chip on a entire computer on a system, single chip, it's called as a microcontroller. Where what is the main difference between then the microprocessor and the microcontroller? Where with respect to the microcontroller, everything will be there inside the single chip. That is, we have a memory, we have a CPU, we have a ALU, and we have so many registers. Even small amount of memory will be there. So with respect to the RAM and ROM, so volatile and non-volatile memory, everything will be there on a single chip. Whereas with respect to the processor, so we have only the CPU and some processing, that's all. So when we have to use the microprocessor and when we have to use a microcontroller, so when our data processing is more, so that time we have to more amount of data we have to handle, then we have to go for the microprocessor. Whereas with respect to microcontroller, when we want to have a dedicated task has to be executed, so then we'll go for microcontroller. So as I was telling so many example like ATM and washing machine, and also with respect to AC also. So I want to automate this AC, so by using the app. So before reaching home, I want to switch on the AC. So what I can do that, so there is already the what the microcontroller will do, so when as soon we switch on this through app, we give a command called as on. So what happens, so there it will check this AC, so what is the threshold always it will compare with respect to the room temperature. Beyond this means if it is within the limit, so which means if the room temperature is within the threshold voltage, then it will not switch on the AC. If it is less than the threshold voltage, then we have to switch on the AC, so it will give a command to switch on the AC. So likewise we can automate the entire so many electronic devices by using this microcontrollers. So then how we can select this microcontrollers? So for example, based on our application, so what is the task we are performing, so based on that we have to choose a microcontroller. For example, whether our data processing the main thing or a certain task has to be executed, or memory is the main concern, so the movement of the data is main concerns. Based on that we have to choose the microcontroller. So nowadays so many applications, so not only with respect to the home automation, also with respect to the car. If you take, so inside the car everything is monitored by a single processor. So what it will do, so based on our command, so what we are with respect to is airbag system, it has to be activated, and also how it will be activated, there will be a sensor. So based on the pressure it gains, on that it will activate the airbag. So similarly with respect to the AC, internal AC with respect to car, everything is based on, so entire thing in this world, so with respect to electronic device is based on the microcontroller, how it is working. So not limited to the only application inside the house, there are so many other applications like ATM, office security systems, and remote control, etc. And also with respect to auto, so engine control, airbag systems are told. Also with respect to cell phone we have a microcontroller, and also with respect to traffic controllers, so there also we have a microcontroller just for how the traffic controllers will use this microcontroller to generate a delay, how the delay will be generated there. So based on the traffic, so one or other road will be blocked for certain amount of time, so which means there will be a microcontroller, so that will be having the counter or timer within that. So that timer will be keep on running until for the fixed amount of time. For example, there is a delay in the particular traffic for 60 seconds, so then it will perform a 60 second of down counting operation until it reaches 0. So once it reaches 0, so what happens, so one or other road will be allowed to move. So that is how it will be working. So not only for a particular stance, so we can increase this time for whatever the amount we want. Okay, so that is how the microcontrollers used in the traffics. And with respect to different types of microcontrollers, as I told, how we have to choose the microcontrollers based on our applications, we have to choose the microcontrollers. It depends, so whether we need to move a data, or else what is our particular task, what is our design, means what is our task we have to perform. So based on that we have to choose the microcontroller. For example, we have so many varieties of microcontroller, like 4-bit microcontroller, 8-bit, 16-bit, based on the how it is processing the data, based on the CPU and the data lines. So it is distinguished as different types of processor, like 4-bit, 8-bit, and 16-bit. A 16-bit processor in the sense of controller, in the sense it is capable of transferring the data 16-bit at a time to or from the memory. So on that basis the microcontroller have been distinguished into different types based on number of bits. So generally whenever designing this type of microcontroller, what we should consider, so as I told, so microcontroller is not only it is a CPU, it consists of so many things like memory, timer, and other thing like peripheral devices, input output things, ports, all these things, parallel ports, serial ports, everything should be there. So being a designer, what we should think, so it is not think that, so we are building, always go for very higher end microcontroller design. So what minimum should be there inside the microcontroller, that we have to think. So address line, data lines, what is the capability of that based on our application we can design our own microcontroller. So that is how the microcontroller emerged from very 4-bit to till we have a 64-bit microcontroller nowadays. So now with respect to this microcontroller, what is the opportunity in external world? So if you take this as I told, so nowadays entire everywhere, so we come across this type of microcontroller and embedded programming. So this microcontroller, generally we follow the embedded C programming. So you take any application, everywhere we find any electronic application, everywhere we will find this microcontroller. The job opportunities are very high, because all now so many companies, you take any automobile companies, they need a embedded engineer, because so everything is inside this is like automation. So wherever the smart things, wherever the decision has to be taken by particular electronic devices, we need a microcontroller. So on that basis I can tell, so this embedded that is embedded C programming will be booming in the future. So many companies, you take any companies like Mercedes-Benz, you take Volvo, and so many companies need embedded engineer. So with that, I'll complete this small introduction on embedded system and microcontroller. Thank you.